This is the latest drone I'm going to be reviewing. It's called the HeliZone Falcon. It's $120 and it comes with a couple other advanced features that weren't on the last drone I looked at, which was the CX-30S. The Falcon has altitude hold that will help you keep a nice steady hover. And it also has auto return function, which is basically a button you push and it flies back towards the controller. This is supposed to help you keep from losing it once you start getting towards the edge of your control range, or you don't quite know what direction it's facing. You can just go ahead and hit that button and it should fly back towards you. So let's go ahead and unbox this and give it a test. I've taken it out of the box and it actually came with a little bit more than I expected. The monitor here, it has its own built-in battery and charger, which is really nice because I had to use 4 rechargeable batteries for the other one on the XC30S. It again comes with the screwdrivers, your little adapter with a card, I believe a 2 GB card. It's pretty standard. Let's see here. No, actually this is a 4 GB card, which that's kind of a bonus. If I can get my, there we go, 4 GB. And then your blade guards, I put one on backwards just to show you that they do go on one way. One has an A, one has a B, so if it doesn't look like it's on right, you probably have it on the wrong side. And then here's your controller. It's got a lot more buttons than the last one. This one actually has a start-stop button to actually turn the drone on and off from the controller, which is kind of nice. And then here's some spare screws. You'd use a couple of them to actually mount this onto the controller using this little adapter they give you. I've already put it on the back of the controller, but this is just a spare part and it's used to mount the video monitor. And then one other thing that I found really nice is here's the battery that comes with it. It looks like your standard battery for the X5C, except it has the more common connector. Now I had adapted my X5C to accept that connector so I could use these batteries, but what I find really nice is this already just fits right in there. It's a little bit of a tight fit, but I can slide that all the way in there and get the door closed, so I should be good using these batteries as well. Now this was a set that I picked up on Amazon. I got 5 of these batteries, a charger and an adapter, so that I actually have a plug-in that would work with the X5C even if I wanted to, but I had already adapted it. So that was only $20 for all that, so that was a pretty good deal, and it worked out really well for this helicopter. So I'm very glad they chose to use that common connector. But now I'm going to go ahead and take this thing out for a flight. So let's see here. One more thing I want to check is, yes, this camera does adjust. I don't believe you can adjust it in flight, but before you take off you can actually get it to go to the angle that you're looking for. And we do have an on-off switch here and an external antenna. So this thing looks to be a pretty good build all in all. Let's go ahead and see how it flies. Giving you a picture-in-picture view of the camera on the helicopter as I'm flying it in my living room. Just give you an idea of how good the vertical hold really works on this thing. Unfortunately, you don't get to decide whether or not you're using the vertical hold. It's as soon as you let off the vertical control stick, it just holds at whatever altitude you've left it at. It is pretty effective, as you can see, but unfortunately, without being able to turn that off, you lose some of the control of your helicopter. It's a feature I'm not necessarily sure I like having all of the time, but it is definitely nice for aerial photography. But the vertical hold feature does give you a nice steady flight, so that is nice for especially amateur pilots. But it's something I'm just not quite used to, so it actually took a bit of learning. But another feature that this has, I'm about to show you, is an auto land. It's not something that was advertised, but essentially there's a start-stop button on the controller. You start the helicopter up to take off, and then when you're ready to land, you just hit stop. And it comes down nice and slow for you. A little bouncy on the landing, but as you can see, it's steady. Okay, so I've gone outside again with this drone to show you some of the advanced features like auto return and headless mode. So I'm going to go ahead and fly this out about 30 feet from me, and I'll try to turn on the auto return mode. And
as you'll see, it doesn't really want to return automatically. It actually just keeps drifting away from me, as you can see in the picture-in-picture view. So I walk towards it, seeing if that maybe gets it a better signal so it knows where to return to, but nothing happens, so I end up canceling that by hitting the control stick and come back towards me a little bit, try it again, and you can see again it just starts drifting away from me. So I'm not sure if I don't really completely understand this mode, but it doesn't appear to be working as I would expect it to. And so I brought it back towards me. I'm going to go to the other side of me and fly out just a little bit and try it this time. It actually appears to work, but if it only works when you're actually nearby the drone, I'm not really sure if it's that useful of a mode. So you'll see I turn it on again, and it comes back to me, and I go ahead and hit the control stick to keep it from bumping into me. So again, it only seems to work when it's close by, but I'll have to look into seeing if I just don't fully understand that mode. So we're going to put on headless mode now, and this is where no matter what the orientation of the helicopter is, if you hit the control stick towards you, it flies towards you. If you hit the control stick away from you, it should fly away from you. Left, it'll go left, right, it'll go right, etc. So it does appear to be working here, which is nice for a novice pilot, but it's not a feature that I would usually use myself. I like to have a little bit more control over the drone than that. But when I turn it off and then I turn it back on, I do end up having a little bit of a control issue. I'm not sure if it's a glitch in the system, but I can tell you it does cause me to bump into my fence here in just a little bit. But you also notice that the video is kind of shaky when it's outdoor. I'm not sure if this is something to do with it being really cold. It's only about 40 degrees, but I don't have this problem with other drones. So I'm going to have to look to see if it's better when it's warm outside. I can tell you it's better picture, as you'll see later on, when it's indoors. But these advanced features, other than the auto hover, just don't really seem to work 100% of the time. So it might be something that's more of a novelty than something that I would say are features you'd really want to buy this drone for. So just something to keep in mind when you're making your purchase. So I put in a fresh battery and I took it outside to show you high speed mode. And you'll see it's quicker than I'd expect, at least as fast as the SEMA X5C, and it responds a lot better in flight than I would have actually imagined with the vertical hold, basically controlling your altitude. But you get nice tight 360s, you can do a panoramic view of whatever you're trying to film, and I'll show you here in just a moment. I fly back towards myself at full speed, and I basically stop within just a couple of feet, so it is very responsive to the controls, which is very nice for something that you're trying to do aerial photography with. Now you'll see I go back out there and it's very, very quick to just adjust to whatever type of control you're giving it. And I'll start doing these 360 flips, which are pretty standard on these types of drones, but they're also cool to show your friends. People are very impressed when you do things like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way up in the air, and what I was surprised about is it's very, very slow to descend. Once I get to my maximum altitude, I'll do a little bit of a panoramic here of my neighborhood, but then when I want to bring it back down and back to myself, I'm holding the control stick straight down, and it's very slow to descend, as you see. It's just barely drifting towards me, and it takes me a good 15-20 seconds to get it back down to a level that I'm actually comfortable with, that I start giving it more of a controls to fly it back towards me and not worry about it getting lost up in the sky. And I go ahead and cut the power here. So it's something that can definitely be used for both aerial photography and stunt flying, but it is definitely a little bit handicapped by the vertical hold, I would say. Okay, so now I'm giving you a view of what the monitor itself looks like. It's actually a pretty good picture, but unfortunately the only feedback you get is the actual battery life of the monitor and how much time you have on your card that you're recording with, or if you're recording, how much time you've actually spent recording. But there is no channel settings on this, so what channel you get is the channel that you're stuck with. And if you have any issues with transmission, you can try to adjust your antenna, or basically you're going to have to go without. I can tell you the last one that I had did have channel settings, but this is really, you can't complain too much for getting 5.8 gigahertz transmission at this price point. So all in all, I would say it's pretty good. I just wish you'd get some like trim settings or some other sort of feedback about the helicopter itself on the monitor or even on the controller, but you just don't get anything at all with this one. And then if you notice, I don't have blade guards anymore because the first test I actually took outside, I had some issues using the return function and the headless mode. I ended up losing it. I didn't know exactly where it went. It turned out it was in my neighbor's gutter, and I found it by walking away from it and losing video transmission. So I can tell you, you get a pretty good length of that video transmission, and then walking in different directions, I was able to triangulate about where it was, and that's how I discovered it was on my neighbor's roof. But you can see the blade guards, they don't screw on. They just kind of pop on around the end of the propellers there. So I'm kind of disappointed that they popped off so easily, and when I pulled it out of the gutter, they were just nowhere to be found, so I'm really not even sure what happened to them. But I'm going to be contacting the manufacturer about some of the issues that I had with the advanced features and let them know that's how I lost the blade guards, so maybe they'll send me some for free. If not, I'll just end up buying some new ones. So all in all, I'd say it's not too bad of a deal for $120. Just want to be careful with those advanced features. And now I'm going to show you a few indoor flights just to show you that the camera does work better indoors. But this first flight, it actually just cut power from the propellers, not sure what happened, just fell straight from the sky. So picked it up, tried it again, did a nice quick flyby downstairs. You can see it's a smooth transition as I chase my dog out of the room. And then I fly back around the room a little bit and come back up the steps, land, and then I'll take off again, do another little flyby and a hover, just so you can see that it is pretty versatile and it does work pretty well. But all in all, I would say, out of 5 stars, I'd probably give this drone about a 3 stars. I do like it. I'm gonna keep it. But the advanced features that are advertised don't really seem to work the way I would expect them to. So it doesn't seem to be something that you'd want to pay extra money for. And as I've said, I already lost the blade guards in my first major crash, so that is definitely a problem. So there you have it, the HeliZone Falcon. Stay tuned for my next review of the SEMA X8G once my girlfriend lets me buy it.